everybody, and welcome back to the first episode of Flint Talk for 2025. It's great to have you all joining us, and we hope you had a great start to the year so far. Obviously, with this episode coming out mid-February, you've probably all already been back at work for a few weeks or geared up to go back to uni, depending on what your life looks like at the moment. I'm really excited for today's episode because I'm joined by another brand new voice to the Flint Talks podcast, and that is the wonderful Zibby. So without further ado, I'll let Zibby introduce herself and give you a bit of a rundown about what makes her so great.
Oh, kia ora, everybody. And thank you so much, Caitlin, for having me on the podcast. It's taken me back to my uni days, actually. So I used to have a radio show whilst I was at university. So I might be a bit dusty, but yeah, I had a show called Sound of the Ouija's that me and my best friend did every week. Basically, we just played music that we liked and had a bit of a yarn. It was great. We loved it.
I love that.
Yeah, but I've never done a podcast, so thank you for having me. I've been involved in Flint now coming up probably 6 years. It could even be 7. So I've been in New Zealand for 8. As you can tell, I am not from here. I come from Scotland, just outside Glasgow, a place called Paisley. And much like many others, I landed in New Zealand after a stint in Asia. I had ran out of money and I came here because I could get a working holiday visa. And yeah, walked into my job, which is at Randstad, for them to help me find a job. And they were like, "We've got one here for you if you want it." And I took it, and I've never left. So I'm a recruitment manager at Randstad, and I've been doing that for 8 years. And that's how I actually got involved in Flint. So one of my managers, he said, "Come along to this event. It looks really awesome." He knew Craig quite well, so put me in touch, and the rest is history, I guess.
Craig's great like that. He knows everybody and tends to be able to find all the good people coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. That's probably, one of the main reasons I've stuck around at Flint and done different roles and got involved from the early stages was just because I needed to build my own network. And Craig does that really well. He can put people in touch with people, but I was new to New Zealand. I needed to build my network. I needed to build on my professional skills. I was probably 23, I think, when I arrived. So still just fresh kind of out of uni myself. Didn't really know what I wanted to do long term. Always interested in tech, but I'm probably more leaning more into that networking and, the professional development side that we offer as well to our members. So yeah, so just started coming along to events, love the opportunity to network, love a glass of wine and some food as well. So that was always a bit of a pull to me, but also really thought that the events that we're running were super engaging. So I attended events for a couple of years before joining the lead team in Wellington, where I actually got to host some events and help organise them, and then stepped into the Wellington chair around about the COVID time. So did that for a few years before handing the reins over to Eden, who I'm sure will be a guest on this podcast in the coming months. And then I've just stepped into a new role with Flint, so in the national lead now for all of the divisions, just to sort of help them coordinate and facilitate their events as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're going to be very busy. I know the Flint teams this year have a lot of really cool stuff in the works. We haven't met yet in the Flint Auckland team, but I know Brody, who's our new chair for this year, has a lot of really great ideas, and the whole team are really excited to start putting on events for people in the coming months. Hopefully, we'll be able to introduce some when this episode comes out. Otherwise, definitely for that March episode, we'll be able to give everybody the news about what's coming up. Just speaking of your history with Flint, I'd love to pick your brains a little about some of the really cool events that you've been to over that time in Flint, but also some that you might have been to more recently or some that you might know that are coming up. Just, anything to allow people about what Flint can offer and what kind of things we've got coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing with Flint is, you're always kind of surprised about what's going to come up because we tend to, be pretty topical and look at what's emerging. So in the tech space, which I love. So one event I remember that we organised in Wellington was demystifying tech buzzwords, which was really cool because we actually invited a selection of experts on specific topics and just got them to do a bit of a lightning talk where they spoke about their profession, their expertise. And it could be things that like, you might hear every day in work, like, I don't know, at that time, I think it was things like Agile and Scrum Master and all of these sorts of the lingo at the time where I was like, I don't know what any of that is. And it was really awesome to go and actually just get someone to simplify it all, which opened up, things like, oh, maybe I could do that as a job, or at least now I understand what that methodology is. So if it starts getting used when I'm at the table, I can kind of give my 2 cents. So that was really cool. And then also, I just love when we do the get to know a CXO. We've been doing it for years, or the speed networking. They always stick out in my mind because they were one of the earlier events that I went to. And I just think it's awesome to be able to, sit at a table with somebody at that level and go in and have, a conversation that's really easy because you've got someone facilitating it. And there, if you don't have the confidence to sort of keep it going, usually everybody does and everyone's chatting away. But if you don't, there's someone there that can keep it going so that you can get the most out of that interaction. And we've had some incredible people that have attended those events in terms of the leaders.
Yeah, I mean, we had ours in November, mid-November, I think last year. It was our very last event of the year for our Flint Auckland team. And as it had been for the few years before that as well, probably our biggest in terms of attendance. And yeah, we had some really great speakers, I guess you can call them people at the tables, the CXOs themselves, to a point where the person I was paired with turns out I actually do business analytics in my role, and I didn't even realize because we all kind of went around and talked about what a day in our life looked like. And she was like, "You sound like you could be on my team." And it blew my mind because I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing every day. So it was really cool, similar to the other event you said, like those buzzwords. I've seen business analytics and stuff thrown around, but I've never really considered what that was and especially how it relates to what I do every day. So yeah, that was quite eye-opening for me, even as someone on the Flint team, not just someone attending. So yeah, everyone was
Absolutely.
learning and everyone was having a good time. And then, like you say, the wine and food at the end of it's always
It's
a
all
good draw card.
It is, it really is, and, like, I've been super impressed by some of our members that turn up and just how prepared they are as well to go into these conversations. I think that's what Flint's all about, is, like, to really give you a platform where you can develop, you can push yourself out of your comfort zone if you want. If you want to be someone maybe a little bit more passive, that's totally fine and observe. But I think it's great that it does give, people that opportunity to network, to build their own brand, especially now when, it is maybe more challenging out there to secure a role. You've kind of got to be doing stuff that can make you stand out. So why not use every opportunity to network, to really build that network is so important. I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but working in recruitment, we know that that is like the second most popular way that people find a job. So I just encourage every person that I interact that's looking for work is, don't just look on the job boards, actually get it out there, network. You just don't know what sort of conversation you could have and where it could lead. So yeah, another amazing thing about Flint is just the possibilities and the opportunities that it can provide you as a member, but also those that are, in the league teams. It does just give you that extra kind of step, I think, or extra way to stand out when it comes to your career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've probably similar to you in Wellington, at our events, we often have people that have just moved into the city, from smaller parts of the country, or they've just finished university and are kind of looking for that next step. They often come to events. And again, similar to you guys down in Wellington, we've got a couple of people in our lead team that work for recruitment companies as well. So it's always nice to make that connection, even if it's with someone that potentially could have a job for you, or just the rest of us that work in organizations that could be hiring, or we've got friends that work in businesses that are hiring, and just being able to say, oh, this person might have something for you, or we'll be able to point you in a direction, or just to say, yeah, friendly face if you ever have any questions about the city or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's always been really great just to build those initial connections. And it sounds like that's kind of why you joined Flint to begin with. So
Yeah,
nice themes of
absolutely.
networking all over the place.
Absolutely. And I also think like there's just something for everyone. So like I'm probably a naturally like outgoing person, but extroverted. So I don't find like it too intimidating to network. But I think people that maybe do still are welcome and still feel welcomed when they come, and that they know that they can kind of lean back and just observe what's going on and still get a lot out of it. But then also the fact that we do like hybrid events or just online things, or just sharing resources amongst each other on our platforms as well. So I think there's just something for everybody, of all stages as well. I think that's something I've noticed recently is, it's not just the early stage career person that's coming to Flint events. We've got to remember things have changed, and many people now are finding themselves in positions where they want to take the next step, or they want to pivot their career. So I've seen like people from all stages now come into events to network and to find out a bit more about what's out there. So that's what I really like about it too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Then I guess we should start talking about some events that we've been to recently. I know you have been to a really cool one that you do want to talk about. So if you
Yeah.
want to just jump into that, and I'll probably have a bunch of questions for you along the way.
Yes, please do. Yeah, like as I said, I love an event. I think it's just a great way to find out what's happening in your city, but also what's happening in the tech space. So I'm constantly on the likes of Eventbrite or Meetup just to see what's happening. But last Thursday, I attended the Fintech Lab Launch at Creative HQ. So for those that don't know what the Fintech Lab Launch is, I actually think I went to this a few years ago, and that's why it's stuck in my mind. So that is so cool just to hear what amazing entrepreneurs are getting on with in New Zealand. So what it does is it's a program where it invites, I think this year there was 14 tech entrepreneurs into an accelerated program. I think usually what the program should take like a year if they were to do this in the sort of normal pace that they would go at. But they condense it into 12 weeks. I think the program's made up of lots of different sessions where they will have mentors. They will do a lot of, basically guiding them on how to get this fintech startup established really quickly and with, I guess, the best way possible. And yeah, so it launched last Thursday. So myself and Eden, who's in the Wellington team, headed along. And the format of the event was really good. It was like buzzing in there. It was a sold out event and it took place at Creative HQ, along with multiple other partners like the Booster Innovation Fund and lots of other sponsors. They put this program on together, and at the very end, one of these organizations or one of these entrepreneurs will have an opportunity to win a grant. I think it's something like $200,000 to actually help their company fly. I think the likes of Pesos have been in it before. We're a winner before. Don't quote me on that, but there's just there are companies that you would recognize the name that have done it and won it and been super successful. But yeah, you're in the room with some amazing people, and just watching what these people are doing, it was pretty inspirational, I found myself.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the website of it, Sharesies is one that they mentioned, and Henry, which is the Soul Trader app. So definitely at least two there that have been all over the place the last couple of years at least. Sharesies, yeah, I joined in COVID and started my investing journey from my couch when we were all at home in lockdown. And then I've been hearing the ads for Henry all over the radio the
Oh,
last few months, especially. So
Henry,
they seem to
Henry
have popped
is
off.
Yeah, they have popped off, and yeah, they're just everywhere, and they're just scaling up, and it's just been amazing to watch their journey. And me being in recruitment, we know what their platform's all about, so we know that it's a leading provider and solution. And I think that's what I've really liked about this event. So how it worked was there was a bit of an intro from someone from Creative HQ that's actually running the program, and then they invited each of the entrepreneurs to do a 1 minute pitch. And some of these people had no experience prior to a couple of days of pitching. So they'd got to do like a masterclass, I think in the days before, from someone really experienced on how to deliver like a winning pitch. And then they got to take to the stage and do 1 minute of just basically pitching what their business was. And yeah, I mean, some of the companies, just to name a few, we had IndigiShare, which I thought was incredible, which is a payment gateway, which is all grounded in Maori values. And what they'll actually do is they're going to service the communities, all of the Maori communities across New Zealand. So that was really cool. There were other ones such as Savaka. So they were all about providing AI financial advisors in the superannuation industry, just all about fixing problems that don't have solutions right now and making things super easy for the user. So I like them. And then we had Homely, which was awesome. It's like a digital mortgage assistant, and that's going to basically try and make it easier for Kiwis to buy their house, because we know at the moment it's so, well,
Oh,
you've just went through it, Caitlin.
yeah, honestly. And it's crazy how few resources there are that actually give you every single bit of information that you need. Like, even though we had a mortgage advisor, we were looking at all of the online Facebook groups and, here is the process documents and stuff. You still ended up having a million questions, or people would only tell you certain information once you got to a certain point. So it meant that every time you took a step forward, you realized, oh, there's actually 10 other things I need to do that I could have been doing beforehand, but no one lets you know about them until you get to a point of, oh, I need that next week. It was just,
Yeah,
I don't,
really
I don't
hard.
know why they make it so difficult. And then the KiwiSaver stuff on top of that, and it was it was a
So
nightmare, and trying to
challenging.
do it all right before Christmas as well. Which I don't recommend to anybody. If somebody is looking, I would say don't do it before the holidays, because we ended up settling on the 23rd of December, which is the last day of the year that you actually can do it. And there was definitely a bit of stress, because if we missed that, we were going to be paying almost 3 weeks of interest, which was going to cost us like $400 a day. So it was
Wow.
scary,
Crazy.
but we made it work. So that was great. But yeah, having something like an AI mortgage
Yeah,
home loan assistant would have been,
exactly. And I think
apparently
that's,
that's
I've not went through that process and buying a house, but yeah, in brief, like what they were basically explaining is exactly that. There's just so much information. And I think it is because we have moved so quickly around like technology and how we process things, that it's just not, nobody's kept up with the pace, and like how do you make it as smooth transition as possible? So we've just got all these loads of different things you have to do, but not one true sense of truth that you can just turn to. So yeah, that was really cool. And yeah, just think that a lot of these companies that were there just had some awesome ideas of how to make people's lives that little bit easier and solving the problem. I really like this one because I always have this problem, and it was a company called Pay Squad. And what Pay Squad do, it's the first buy now, pay together. So it's a group payment option that you could do at like retail, ticketing, and travel. So like, I don't know about you, but I'm constantly booking trips and booking gigs. And I'm always like saying to my friends, okay, cool, who's keen? And they're all like, yeah, me, 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 me. And I'm like, okay, so that's now 10 people that want to come to this gig. I don't just have a spare $1,000 in my bank account to buy all the tickets, and you know how annoying it is to rally everyone's money and be like, oh yeah, you still owe me this, you still owe me that. So Pay Squad is like solving that problem, because they'll have an option at the checkout where you can say, yeah, we want to buy all together so we can sit together, but I'm not just going to do one transaction. It allows you to then send the notification to each of those people that are going to pay, and they all put their details in and pay separately.
that would be perfect. I've definitely been the person that's been like, okay, I'm the only one in the group with a credit card, so I will buy these 3 or 4 tickets, and then you guys have to pay me back. And if you don't, I know where you live, so I will come and get my money one way or the other. And it's just not amazing. And then, yeah, you get the one friend that, oh, I spent too much money this month, I'll give you it next month. And then you just take it longer and longer and longer. And then you don't even want them to come with you because they've stressed you out. That
I
would be
know.
so good. And
Yeah.
especially for things that is allocated seating, you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it.
Exactly. So yeah, I really like that. But it was just awesome. And I think it got me thinking, me and Eden after it, we're like, oh, we should try and reach out to some of these incredible companies and try and get them to do something for Flint, come to an event.
Yeah.
Or so yeah, maybe we have to think about that moving forward. But the cool thing at the event was, yeah, it was quite short and snappy, but you got to hear a lot of all these cool ideas and emerging tech that's about to hopefully launch. And I mean, a lot of these companies are already established. They just need that help to really springboard and make the most of it. But everybody that attended that event is now, because I think it was put on by MasterCard. They were one of the main sponsors. You're then invited to go to the next event, which is in the end of April, where you'll actually get to see their journey and where they've got to. And then I think
Oh,
obviously someday eventually will win the grant to help them really take off. So yeah, looking forward to that. I'll go along to that again with Eden, and just once again a good place to network and find out about cool things that are happening, and yeah, just pretty inspiring. There are people there that were much younger than me that are just obviously so passionate about the problem they're trying to solve that they've managed to create some incredible like tech platforms that hopefully will really kick off.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, everyone interesting that the program wrap up is the 30th of April, and that's when they're doing the showcase. They're calling it the Fintech Festival. So, yeah, if you want to join Zibby and Eden there and check out all of these really cool companies, looking at the site, there's 12 or 13 of them. So, definitely heaps to check out. Is all in their kind of financial area. That's something that's super important right now, especially as open banking is coming. Derek and Brody actually did the episode in December, I think, about open banking and what that's going to mean for New Zealand. So very topical again there. So definitely head along to that if you guys are based in Wellington. You'll be able to potentially meet Zibby if you can find her amongst the
Yes.
crowd, and Eden as well. And then, yeah, hopefully we might even be able to get your thoughts on that again in the episode after that to see what other bits and pieces have popped up. And if we can get any of those companies involved in a Flint event, that would be amazing, because there's definitely quite a few, just looking at the website, that would be super relevant to some of the work that we're doing and for the young people that are in our networks ourselves. So, yeah, really excited to see how they all go.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, so that was a good one that I attended, and just good that it was like early in Jan, gets you out there, and just awesome to see that many people in a room, because I think, you know, what we have found is just sometimes it is hard to get people back at events. We've done really well, I think, over the last year of driving our membership, but also just our attendance at our December event was awesome. We were super happy with how many people came. So I think it's just a sign that people are wanting to get back into a room, networking, and yeah, making the most of it. So it was really good to see. And then yeah, I guess that's a kind of natural transition, isn't it? I get to Flint events and what's coming up. So the teams, yeah, I guess in the national role that I'm doing is now to sort of, you know, support everybody in our region. So we've got obviously Wellington, and Eden is our chairperson in Wellington. We've got Christchurch, where Adele is the chairperson. We've got Queenstown, which is super exciting, that they launched last year, and Roselle is doing an awesome job. And then, of course, Auckland, we've got Brody. So everybody last year spent loads of time making a bit of plans on what they want to do. And yeah, we'll look to kick off our first events in March time, March, April. I know that Christchurch are super passionate about getting something done in the AI space again. Wellington are looking at something actually to help, because Wellington's had a lot of change, I guess, this year in terms of government changes and restructures about how to position yourself in the market and how to really, I guess, yeah, sell your brand and make you stand out. So we're going to focus an event on that. And then, yeah, Roselle and Auckland have got some great things in the pipeline. Roselle started a show and tell sort of event series last year that she's looking to replicate and continue on, where quite like the Fintech Lab Launch, people just got an opportunity to speak about the cool stuff that they're doing. So yeah, I think it's a really exciting time to get involved in Flint events and come along. And we will obviously share many more of the finer details with everybody that listens on the podcast as soon as I've got them.
Absolutely. And I'm hoping by the time we do launch this episode in a few weeks that we might have some of those details. So if anyone listening, you may have already heard me talk about a couple of the events that are coming up. But if not, we will definitely be posting them on our LinkedIn's. They'll be available on the Flint. Are we still using Eventbrite? I don't know. On the Flint page.
Humanity.
Humanitics, that's the
That's
one.
the one.
And then yeah, we'll also be sharing them on all of our personal socials like we always do. We've also been talking about potentially getting an Instagram going. So we'll
It's the
see.
mix. I know that Eden was making the accounts last night, so watch this
Nice.
space. I think it's Instagram and TikTok. So, I mean, I'm not a TikToker myself, but I certainly know how to use Instagram. But yeah, I think it's just a good platform, isn't it, to really drive engagement. And we're keen to really show our audience who the Flint people are behind Flint and our real lives, because at the end of the day we want it to be as relatable as possible, and we are just like all of the listeners and all of our members, so we just wanted to really show, you know, what maybe a day in the life of a job as a recruiter, or a day in the life as Eden, who works in the legal team at Maz, and we're all doing these cool jobs with normal lives, but are super interested in tech and networking as well.
Yeah, well, that's going to be amazing. I also don't TikTok, but I know that it's gone crazy, especially for the younger generations. Maybe,
Yes.
maybe you and I were just a little bit too old for that. But
Hello.
we get the generation. But no, I definitely use Instagram as well. So I'm going to be really keen to see what the team does with all of the social media stuff. And, we'll be able to reshare it all, throw some stuff on LinkedIn, pop it all around, and hopefully get some of the podcast across those platforms as well, which will be really cool for content too. But yeah, I feel like we've probably gone on enough unless there's anything extra that you want to say.
Thank you
Great.
so much for
Well,
having me. It's been
it's
awesome.
been amazing to have you. I don't know why we haven't had you on the podcast sooner, but we'll definitely be excited to have you back to hear about how the festival goes and anything else that pops up. Definitely as we walk through the year, I know we're going to have so many more events and so many more bits of technology to talk about. So we'll definitely be picking up some more episodes as we go. But yes, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much to everyone that's listening for joining us for another year of the podcast. This is the third year that we're walking into now, episode 16, maybe 17, I think we're up to. So we're getting some numbers there. Keep an eye out on our socials for all of the details about those events, and we will catch you next month for a new episode of Flint Talk.